Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Sounds Right Media. My name is Anthony.
And I'm Brian.
And we are here to bring you an expert analysis from Brian, the professional stock trader of 37 years, making lots of people lots of money. Guys, let's get into an awesome stock called SRNE, Sorrento Therapeutics. Brian.
A lot of bears on this stock, Anth. We're both bulls. I'm extremely bullish this stock. Tomorrow's a big day. 90 days elapses for the COVID EUA authorization from the FDA. Bears think it's going down. Bulls think it's going up. Personally, I think the stock is a buy on a dip if we don't get it tomorrow.
Before we get into any more info, guys, comment down below, like the video, share the video. Thank you for all your support. And let's get into some more detailed analysis on SRNE.
And before we get into the charts here, let's just talk about a few things here. This company, I've never seen a company like this come out with news on a weekly basis, and the stock does nothing. And the bears think they're in control of the stock here, but there is so much news. He's shaking his head no. There is so much news that this company comes out with, and it's weekly.
Yeah.
And it's weekly, and the stock does nothing, and I can understand why the bears think they're in control.
Yep.
But some quick hitting points here. UPS Pions, they've been using the COVID stick for months.
Yep.
They love it. In December of 2020, Sorrento, they received CLIA license from state of California for clinical sample testing. They've got licensing agreement with Mount Sinai for antibody for neutralizing COVID-19 strains in the UK and South Africa. Big time as far as I'm concerned. Doesn't get talked about a lot. What else do you have there?
They got a $2.7 billion market cap, which is not rich considering what they have compared to other companies at a similar valuation, right?
Absolutely. And that even have higher valuations.
Right. Like SNDL,
yeah.
Like ZOM, Zomedica.
Absolutely.
They got a 20% short stock, and they have some really good inside ownership, nearly 16%. They also have institutional ownership of nearly 30%. It's at 28% right now, which for an amateur like myself, I've only been doing this about a year. I usually go to Brian, year and a half maybe, but I usually go to Brian to get all my tips. And when I don't, though, I check where the smart money's going. That's my first indicator. First thing I want to see is insider buying and institutional ownership.
Absolutely.
And they got a lot.
And BlackRock Capital is one of the biggest owners in Sorrento, so I love seeing that. A couple other quick points here. 300 employees, now 500 employees in a little over 1 year. What gives? If this company's not going in the right direction, they wouldn't be bringing on more employees.
Almost double. We
can also talk about back in January of 2020. I don't know if you're aware of this here. A lot of people probably aren't. Sorrento had a $7 private equity bid to take this company out. At that current time, the stock was trading at $3.40, more than double the price.
Wow.
They're not doing that because they don't think they have assets and they don't think they have something positive coming down the pipeline as far as some of their clinical trials. Also, let's forget, they didn't have any of this COVID stick, anything, COVID-19 products that they're working on.
And not to mention, not even that long ago, they were trading below 7.
Correct. Yeah, so back around Thanksgiving, I think they were below 7. And also another thing, I don't know if you realize, there's not going to be any dilution with this company because they own 20 million shares of GXGX, which is a SPAC, was a hot market. But they're bringing Cellularity, which Sorrento owns part of. They're bringing Cellularity to market. They also own 8.2 million shares of IBRX, which is another biotech type company. So there's not going to be any dilution. If they need to raise capital, they can simply sell their shares and raise all kinds of capital from that aspect. So another great thing that I like about Sorrento.
Unlike another company I'm bullish on, which seems to dilute their company almost weekly.
Yes.
We won't get into that, but
no. They also have associations with Johns Hopkins, Mount Sinai, partnering up with them. Another positive thing. And the bears want to keep on saying the stock is going to zero.
Right.
I think they're way off on that. And lastly, we should mention that Sorrento Therapeutics, they have therapeutic antibodies for a variety of diseases, including COVID-19, non-opioid pain therapies across multiple indications, and very early stage immunotherapy efforts.
And anyone who knows about opioid abuse or anybody who has family who has addictions, a lot of it starts with opiate medications. And the fact that they could change the game in terms of what gets prescribed after a surgery, what gets prescribed for injuries, that's that's not like an antibiotic that sometimes gets used. Pain pills are given out all the time.
Yeah.
So if that did get approved, and I've seen some of the results from their trials.
Yes, big time.
I know that it's really good for back pain. I've seen that. So just that's an absolute game changer. Like many of the things,
Absolutely.
I specifically like the COVID stuff, and I really like that non-opiate medication.
And maybe what we're going to go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and post a link on the comments section to everything that they've got in their pipeline, so it's easy for you to access and take a look at it. Also,
link in the description. All right, moving right along here, guys. There are so many great things about Sorrento Therapeutics. We're going to talk a little bit more about them later, but let's get into the chart. Take a look. Have Brian, who knows how to analyze these charts, has a lot of experience doing so. Let's have Brian look at it, tell us what he sees. And boom, there's your SRNE chart. Brian, what do we got?
Anth, well, this should be a little quick explanation here. We can take a look. And it will be. Here we've got a double top in place on the stock. You can see here up in the 17s. Teaching point here, you've got yourself a little symmetrical pattern. Inside day, pop to the upside. That formed the double top. And then what'd you have, Anth?
A collapse.
You had the sell-off. You had the tech sell-off. You had this backing off on its own. Then it furthered to the downside when you had the rest of the market pulling back. Now, the big question becomes, what happens if the EUA for Covistick, which is their diagnostic test, isn't approved on Monday? That's the big thing. Bears say the stock's going down. Bulls say it's going to get approved. I don't know if it's going to get approved, to be quite honest, on Monday. If it doesn't, to me, it's not a big deal. They can apply for an extension. They can reapply. I don't think it's going to matter either way.
One thing I do want to ask is if it does not get approved, there is a chance that the Bears could make a push for this to go a little lower, I would think, right? Off of fear that they're not going to get this approved, and then start shorting it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that is
that seems to be a thing that happens with SRNE a lot.
I'm not really too concerned about the Bears going after the stock. They also have an application that's expected for EUA use on CoviTrace, which is a diagnostic test. So the Bears can say what they want, they can do what they want, but along with this company having the GMAB library that I feel is worth at least $2 to $3 billion, if they want to hit the stock, go ahead. What I like about this here, though, taking a look at the chart again, the stock ran into the 20-day moving average, this blue moving average, and it's been suppressing the move. Every time it gets up there, it tags it, it backs off. You have the 50-day moving average up above, 1109. That's going to act as resistance. You've got the gap here. That's going to act as some resistance as well. That comes in the 12 and change area. But you take a look here. You've got the 20-day moving average. You've got the 5-day moving average. You've got the 10-day moving average, all acting as resistance right now. Down below there, what do you have? You've got the moving average here, the 100-day moving average. That comes in at 919. The 200-day moving average, 885. So to me, the downside is limited even if this doesn't get approved tomorrow. I fully expect them to ask for an extension or reapply for this here because this is something that's needed. And what are they going to do, Ant? Are they going to take the stock down to $5, $6? I mean, remember what we talked about. I
wouldn't think that could be possible.
They had an offering for a private equity wanting to take them out for $7.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, if you're asking me what I'm doing with this here, if this stock comes down on potentially not getting this here EUA authorization tomorrow, I'm a buyer on weakness. I may look to leg into part of it, maybe down on a break of this 919 area, the 100-day moving average. I may look to leg in a little bit more around this 885, the 200-day moving average. And if I get a break of it, I'm going to also be a buyer of it. And real quickly, if we look going all the way back 1 year, this stock, every time it comes down into the 200-day moving average, all in through here also, it holds this red moving average line. So to me, this is big.
That's good to see, yeah.
This is big. I think the bulls will want to defend it. I think this here is a buy into any weakness come tomorrow. Look for then a subsequent reversal and move back to the upside.
All right, so just to summarize what we're saying here, we are bullish on SRNE, Sorrento Therapeutics. We are absolutely bulls. I do not currently hold any SRNE. I've held it many times in the past. I ride it up, I sell it, and then it seems to lose its gains a little bit. I buy it, I ride it up. So I'm looking tomorrow as a potential buying day if they do not get the authorization. If they get it, I might miss. But tomorrow, if it hits that 200-day moving average, I am 100% buying SRNE. That 885 range, right? Even if it gets to that 919, that was the 100-day, right?
Correct.
So if it gets to that 919 number, I'm looking to buy. It's somewhere near that 919 to 885. Anywhere in that range, I am buying SRNE tomorrow. And I'll hold. It'll be a long-term hold for me at that point.
Yeah, and I currently hold it, and I've traded in and out of it several times as well. But I'm holding this time for the long term. I have complete faith in this company, and if they want to go ahead and try a bear raid, knock it down below these moving averages, fine. It doesn't matter to me because I know exactly what this company has. Not only what we talked about, we're going to go ahead like we had discussed. We're going to put a link to all of their things that they're working on.
Right.
And you know, the other thing is they've got 4 partners that they're working with. They've got 4 subsidiaries, and they also have 5 manufacturing facilities. This isn't a company that's going to zero.
Right.
I think to me it's quite doing just the
it's got
opposite.
A good foundation.
We can just maybe add a couple. We can add another 0 after 0 and a 1 before the first 0, and we can say 100. When? I don't know, but honestly, I think the stock's going triple digits at some point in the future.
So I told you guys, we would not give you those 10x videos, but today, baby, 10x! We're getting that 10x video!
I don't want to call it 10x, but I mean, I guess
in time.
I guess in time. I do think in due time. If
you're a long-term hold on this, I would be very comfortable sitting around that $10 average. But I also, like I said, if it drops tomorrow, I'm a buyer anywhere near that $9 number.
I agree, 100%.
Awesome. Well, guys, that's the video. We hope you enjoyed. We hope that you come back for future videos. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Anthony.
I'm Brian.
And we'll see you next time.